Okay, onward we go here at Lancaster Lebanon League Media Day for hoops here at LNP. Just a wonderful afternoon of basketball here with Andy Brackett's Andy here, Bruce Badgley, and Scott Gaffey here for Ephrata. I tell you what, it has been pretty crazy. I mean, for you guys in athletics here the last couple of weeks, and now it's basketball's turn, right?
It's crazy. It's with football just ending. It was weird. I consulted my dad a little bit because at McDevitt they went through it all the time. Their football kids were never there. I'm like, what do you do with these first couple practices when you have nobody here? What? No, it was funny, and we're just excited. The football team played amazing. We're hoping to.
Yeah, I was out there talking to Chris on Thanksgiving morning. I mean, it was it was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah. They had a magical run. And even the game against Cocalico, I think it was well played both ways. A few things go a different way. You don't know what happens, but.
But how do you take that? I mean, is that momentum that from the football team that you can translate over into the winter sports and try and just kind of get on their coattails and emotionally kind of get on that ride?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have those guys coming from the football team, that have now started to have success there. The basketball program started to have success last year, so we have guys, are used to winning and, not just used to it, but they kind of expect to win, and want to go out there. I think, Braden Brown was obviously a huge part of the football team. While he doesn't have, the varsity experience per se in basketball, we know he's played in plenty of big games in football, so he won't shy away from that. But I think, the football guys coming back have brought some moxie, and we had it last year too with Andre. Just how hard they play, how physical they are. So yeah, we're definitely looking to build on that, and we're looking to build off, the success that we had, with the basketball program last year. So I think, all of Ephrata's sports, like you said, are in a little bit of a renaissance. So we're excited to build on that.
You guys are a 6A school, correct?
We are 6A, and we are 6A again for the next cycle, yes.
I thought you did a marvelous job being in 6A and setting up your schedule. I mean, could you sort of speak to that and how you got sort of figure out what a schedule looks like, knowing that if and when you make the playoffs, you're going to have to get in on the 6A line, not the 5A or the 4, it's 6. It's big boy basketball.
Yeah, I think, that's one of the things that we really looked at, and we knew, with 6A, with us playing in a section that is primarily 5A, with the exception of us and Conestoga Valley, we knew we had to get not 11 and 11. We had, we knew 13 or 14 would be the number. So I think that was the goal, and that's what we were shooting for the whole time. I think, ultimately it comes down to you want to play competitive games. I think sometimes you can get caught up too much with, do we have to play a 6A? Does it have to be a 5A? I think you just want to get the games that you're going to get the most out of. And I think, moving forward, obviously we have that same schedule set up this year, just, same second year of a cycle. Next year, our section actually trends more 6A because Warwick and E-Town both become 6A. So it's actually almost a primarily 6A section next year. But yeah, I think, Ephrata and a lot of these schools are growing. It seems the schools out west are losing enrollment. We went from like a 6A right on the line to a pretty firm 6A. Not a big 6A, but
right.
We're not on the line.
Well, it's pretty easy to see why. I mean, obviously when I drove over to practice, Thanksgiving morning, I mean, you get off 222 and you're driving through town or whatever like that. I mean, obviously, yeah, trending on the upside like that, but that's got to be great, for athletics.
My gosh, it is, yeah.
And the expectations now that are placed on, you coaches to succeed, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I think, it just makes it so much more competitive, with the number of guys you have trying out, the number of teams, We've seen it even more so, at our youth levels too. Like we have, like 2 6th grade teams, 2 5th grade teams,
wow.
Which we never had before. But when you have so many kids trying out, I think it's beneficial. I mean, obviously Hempfield does it, all the really big schools. But yeah, it just makes it more competitive, and any way we can keep more kids involved, because you never know, who's going to grow, who's going to develop, who's going to put in the time. So no, I think it's made things, much more competitive, and I think the fact that our other sports programs are having success, is really important too, because it's just making, better athletes, which is
Well,
important.
there's a lot of peer pressure then too,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some, hey, girls basketball did this. What about you guys? Football do it. What about you guys? I mean, so there's a little pressure on there, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think there's some pressure too. When you go 13-9, the JV team, last year was 19-3. Like those guys expect to win. So I think they put some pressure on themselves, and I think I think we all think that on any given night, if you play really well, we can compete and play with anybody. And I think our section, is very balanced and competitive this year. I think obviously Warwick, just with all 5 stars back, is probably, they're the team that people are hunting for at the top. But I think we believe, and there's a lot of teams there that think, if everything went right and you play the right way, you can get them and you can be there, and all those other games, I think are really wide open. Central obviously has a lot back, but group did so much. I mean, there's definitely some opportunities there.
I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Obviously, the last name Gaffey carries a lot of weight in the basketball world around this, neck of the woods specifically, and you're well traveled as well. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Now that you've been a couple years in to wearing the purple, how has the job, changed for you based on what maybe your preconceptions of the job were, what before you took it, now that you've been in it, and sort of what all comes with that? Because as I mentioned, you've been around. You sort of know what an effort a player might look like, and then now that you're actually in it, how does that look now, a few years in?
Yeah, I think just the mindset, changes a little bit. Now you get to see your guys, and even growing up, like with my father as a coach and going around, you never really know 100%, what it's going to be like until you sit, in the captain's chair. So I think, like when I first went, to Mifflin County and they're 6A and you're like 23 years old and you walk out there for your first game, it's one of those things. I think, I think I've grown a lot too, because it's the same with anything else. Like, how do you get better at doing something? You just do it. Like, how do you become a better foul shooter? You take more foul shots. How do you become a better reader? You read more. How do you become a better coach? You coach more. So I think, ultimately that plays into it. But I think, one of the things that I didn't realize about Ephrata, and it's really a positive, is the diversity, that we have with our population. That's something that as an outsider, when I first came to Ephrata, I didn't picture that at all. And I just didn't know the area well enough. And I think, we have so many different cultural backgrounds and people that can bring so many different things to the table, and we're able to mesh all those guys, is really important. And just building that culture, I think, that's probably was, the biggest surprise at Ephrata. And then just realizing, hey, we got the dudes here that can do some stuff. We just you gotta train them up, put them to work, and get guys to buy in, and we can do something here.
You mentioned Section 2, and I will tell you this, just with me talking and getting around as much as I do, there's a lot of unsolicited, I'm not going to call it hype, but expectations on Ephrata. They're like, hey, Ephrata might be for real this year. So I guess now that I say that to you, why are maybe some of those voices saying something like that? Like, what do you see in your guys' group to maybe this is the time for Ephrata to get back to leagues, because it is wide open?
Yeah. I just think, I think it's a testament to our guys, that they put in so much time this offseason, to become battle tested. And then we have the nice mix of, we have, Trent Wolf back, Gavin Hopp, to our seniors. And then we have a lot of younger guys that this summer, went out there and played in a ton of varsity games against good competition, and everybody stepped up in different moments, because you know how it is over the summer, you never have everybody.
Right.
But everybody that went out there was able to do what we asked them to do and played hard. And I think, it's just that, this group has had success, and, when they go out there, they expect to compete and they expect to win. And I think, that's the biggest thing, that we've kind of worked to change a little bit. And I think it's partly too, these guys have had success in other sports, but the success they had, as a JV group last year playing up, and with the varsity and how competitive our scrimmages were, I think, that all feeds into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so for you talked about, getting out there and, coaching more. What are some of the things, obviously, specifically that when you first got into coaching and finally sat in the captain's chair till now, what's some of the big things that you've realized as a head coach that you may not have realized before you got into this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, two things come to mind right away. The first is, you do so much scouting and preparation. And I think when I first got started, and I think a lot of people are probably guilty of this, I think we almost did too much of that because, when you're dealing with, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, they're only going to remember, so much of what you tell them. So you really want to make sure that time is used wisely. And I think the other thing, that I've tried to do lately is, we do competitive stuff the whole way through practice, but whatever it is for that day that we want to get accomplished the most, like after we do our warm-ups and go through some stuff, I try to put that early because it seems like, again, with attention spans, that's when they're the freshest. The things you tell them first are the things that they're going to remember, So just putting whatever that's first.
That's really good. And that's the first time I've heard a coach say that, but that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, you got to do it first, get them, especially while they're fresh, because they'll still get stuff at the end, but you're not going to get as much out of it as right at that, hey, here's really what we got to do today. So I think those are probably two things that stick out the most.
Great answers.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. I saw on Twitter the last couple of days, we're teasing some new threads. Have they seen those in real life form? And like, when are we going to bring those out? What are we? And are we going to be like the Oregon Ducks and we're going to have 17 different?
They have seen them. We did a jersey review. We had Trent, Cooper, and Caden. They got to wear the jerseys. They went out and saw them. They were excited. We got the black this year. Effort to approve that as like an alternate color. So we're teasing. We haven't unveiled that yet. Obviously, white for home games, purple for away, but. We're working to decide, there's going to be a couple games where you'll see the black uniforms. So.
Wow, that's really great. That's really great. Well, listen, look, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Best of luck this season.
Thanks.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, I can tell you that, okay?
No, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you very much, and more coaching interviews as we go on today. Thank you.